Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fashion Bunker. Interesting topic today. So remember that I mentioned to you the friend of the family a couple of weeks ago. Actually, it's been a while, over a month now, almost 2 months that this happened. That is in the hospital, somewhere in the States. Well, it's something that is really mind-boggling, and I told all of you guys, get ready, prepare yourselves, because in case you ever land, in the hospital, in a coma, or, you're having some surgery done and then you lose your senses or whatever, you gotta have your paperwork ready so that family members can be called in to make decisions for you. If you don't have that paperwork ready, that can't happen. For example, leaving the life support system on or turning it off, stuff like that. Donating organs or not, stuff like, heavy stuff. But these are things that you could kind of prepare, coordinate legally, just to prepare in case, heaven forbid, in case something like this were to happen. But what is really bad is when the shit hits the fan and complications arise. And let me tell you a story. This is a storytelling video, storytime video. And this is also one of the reasons why I'm kind of not as productive lately, because this is just dragging me down emotionally so much, guys. I'm just spiraling constantly off this chair as well. So legally, I can't really divulge too many details, because legal action will be happening as well. But we're talking about a veteran who is retired, who has diabetes, and at a certain point also gets kidney failure. And one of the routine checkups at his doctor, the doctor sees that this is going on, the kidney failure, and says immediately go to the nearest hospital. So he does, and the hospital immediately, says, okay, we got to do a dialysis immediately. And they set up this patient, the patient does state 2 names to be contacted in case of emergency, in case something goes wrong. And but it wasn't the right 2 names. This was amidst all the confusion, because already he was, he was already feeling the effects of this kidney failure. So they hook him up to the dialysis, and the dialysis begins, but they make a mistake. And dialysis can, depending on how intense you do it, it can really dehydrate you a lot. And it is not uncommon that you might lose your senses while you're getting dialysis. You might vomit while getting dialysis. So it is the responsibility of the hospital team that is executing the dialysis on you to set you in a position so that in case you do lose your senses, and in case you do vomit, that your body's positioned sideways so that it comes out of you in case you vomit, in case your body rejects something, and in case on top of that you have lost your senses. They didn't do that. And this poor guy does lose his senses and does vomit. And you can guess the vomit just doesn't exit. It just stays all in. And in this unconsciousness, it just goes back in and poisons the lungs. And of course, the hospital is trying to cover up everything to not take responsibility. But it gets worse. So they contact one of the family members that is on this list. This family member was in another part of the States and had to travel all the way. And then the other family members are in another continent altogether. It's super complicated. And so she drove there, this person, and was treated really badly because the doctors were all trying to disconnect. So basically, this patient was put on life support systems because, like, lost complete consciousness. I mean, mind you, this patient, this veteran, drove to the hospital, was still fully conscious of everything, got admitted to the hospital, you know, entered on his own, walked and everything, and talked, and did all the paperwork he had to do, got the dialysis, fainted, vomited, poisoned himself, fell in a sort of semi-coma, was not waking up anymore, and the hospital was, you know, called one of these relatives and said, you were on this list. We don't think that he's going to survive the night because that was a heavy reaction to the dialysis or whatever, and so he's on life support systems now. We suggest strongly to turn off the machines. Seriously? Of course, she freaks out and says, no freaking way, you're not going to do that. So she calls the rest of the family, and, you know, they all discuss it, and of course they all decide unanimously to not turn off the life support system. You have to wait and see how things develop. I mean, there must be, you have to hear a second opinion from another doctor, from another place. Well, the hospital already starts making stress and says, no, we don't allow any other doctors in here. It has to be only our doctor. That sounds fishy already. And of course, they did not turn off the life support machines. And of course, this patient, this veteran, did wake up and did survive, but got a lung infection and then needed to, but after waking up, couldn't really speak anymore and was very confused and super tired. And well, then amidst all of this stress going down with the vomiting and the fainting and the lung infection, he also had a stroke. So part of his brain that is functioning for speech isn't functioning anymore. So, you know, rehabilitation is needed there as well. But the hospital is just not preoccupied about that at all. Instead, they're kind of pumping out the liquids out of the lungs. But in the meanwhile, the rest of the family flies over. They're all together in this hospital. And they start, you know, because no doctors want to talk to them, they start doing their own research, you know, how these pumps that are connected to the body, how they, on Google, how they're supposed to pump out the liquid from the lungs and clean the lungs, etc., etc. And they find the information and they realize that the pumps that the hospital connected to the patient weren't connected properly, so they were not pumping outwards, but they were just pumping air inside. Oh my God, this is, I mean, so basically the family had to correct another mistake of the hospital. I did forget to mention one itsy bitsy detail. As the lady, the first relative was called to come into the hospital, and she was alone there, freaking out because, you know, she was all alone, and her relative was basically in a semi-coma, almost dying, and the doctors were not giving her any hope. She freaked out, and they were trying to convince her to turn off the life support system, and she kept yelling at them, saying, no, 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 no. So what did the hospital try to do? They locked her up. They said, okay, you are psychologically unstable. We're locking you up. We're going to put you under surveillance, and we have to check out with a psychiatrist, you know, if you're crazy or not. They locked her up for a day and a half approximately. The evaluation came in from this psychiatrist who said, why did you do that to her? She's totally sane. She's totally normal. So the hospital had to let her go, but they sent her the bill to pay for locking her up. I mean, it's insane. Like, it's insane. And it goes on. Every day, new and new mistakes in this hospital. They wouldn't give out the medical records. They kept kind of avoiding certain topics. And every day the family would return to the hospital, some other nurses would be there, the doctors would never be there, and the family would have to anew repeat themselves who they were, because it's a mixed race family on top of that. So a lot of different skin tones, and a lot of the people working at the hospital just couldn't understand. How is that even possible? I mean, are you freaking kidding me? Not everybody, you know, has this urge to just stick to their own skin color. What year are we in? It's insane that this family had to explain every day, coming back to visit their relative, that they are indeed family. And nobody would believe them. They had to show documents every day just because of skin color. Disgusting. So this went on for weeks and weeks and weeks. New mistakes happened and happened and happened. And in the meanwhile, the family was considering what to do, you know, and they thought, well, the best thing that they can do at this point is to try to transfer this relative to a hospital for veterans, you know, the veteran administration within that, because they needed kind of a nursing system that is also suited for dialysis and rehab, because he needs to learn how to talk anew. Certain words are totally missing now, you know. A lot of functions, how to sign, how to write things, how to move, how to walk. You know, they kept him in bed for months. He's still in bed. Initially, at the VA, things went okay, but then everything went downhill there as well, because the staff at the VA is unfortunately too small in numbers, and there are too many patients. Everybody's overworked, overstressed, underpaid. They cannot handle the load of work coming in, the amount of patients. They should be having 1/3 of the patients per nurse, but they have, you know, 2/3 more. So they're exhausted, and there's a lack of communication between the doctors and the nurses and the staff. So there's a lot of misinformation going on. Just today, this veteran, a friend of ours, was supposed to go into surgery, but they literally forgot to prep him for surgery. But they didn't forget to not let him eat the whole day. So this poor man was in some corridor waiting for surgery that never happened. He was never fed. He was never taken care for. And the surgery, mind you, had to happen because the connection for the dialysis to the body got infected because they didn't do it properly. So that area got infected. And if you get an infection like that, a bacterial infection in a hospital, I mean, you're as good as dead, because the type of germs and bacteria that roam there roam nowhere else. I am heartbroken. Heartbroken. And guys, seriously, I'm just scratching the surface of all the improprieties, of all the mistakes and mishaps that have happened within the health system, within the VA, and also within the private hospital. It's like it doesn't matter where you are. It's just not working. People are dying. And I have the feeling a lot of them are dying because of mistakes of, you know, of a system that is not working right. And mind you, the only reason this gentleman, this veteran, is still alive is because one of the relatives is by his side all the time. The others had to go back to work. It's not possible to keep the whole family constantly there, because otherwise everybody would lose their jobs. So one member of the family sacrificed the job in order to protect the family member. And that is a full-time job as well. So this family member that is now there to take care of this veteran literally runs to the VA several times a day to check up on this veteran and to correct the mistakes that the nurses and the staff are doing. I have no words. We're all going to get old. We're all going to end up sooner or later, for some reason, in a hospital, in a nursing home, We're all going to need help from our society, from this world we live in. We're supposed to help, but one day we also need help. And have we come to this, that it is so difficult is too much of a euphemism. It's not so difficult. It's impossible, really, to get good health unless, I don't know, unless you're not like a billionaire and you're just like paying for private everything. You literally have to build your own hospital and employ your own doctors and nurses and buy your own machines and everything in order to get really good service, I guess. I really, and this is an ongoing thing. This is still happening now. As you're watching this video, it's not over. And it scares me. It scares me very much to see our society, because being so greedy, it all boils down to money. The hospital was quick like this to send a bill for locking up for a day and a half this poor girl who didn't have any psychological issues, but they just, I don't know, were hoping that they could get the permission to turn off the life support system. And now they want to make her pay for that as well? I mean, there's so many more details, but I can't say all of them. And they're all just bad, one worse than the other. And it really gets to me because I think to myself, what is our future? Where are we heading to? If this is our future, I don't want it. Thank you very much. I do not want it. I don't want to end up in a position like that. I'd rather kick the fucking bucket before that even happens. Honestly. Where's the love? Patients have become numbers to these people. They're not human beings anymore. They are numbers. They have been completely dehumanized. And that's the biggest tragedy of it all, I guess. I'm not generalizing and speaking for every doctor and nurse out there, but a lot of them somewhere down along the line, they lose their humanity. They just see a body, that is either alive or a corpse. But they don't see a soul. They don't see the pain and the struggle of the family members. That vital human and actually also animal, every living being's instinct of survival and preservation and hope that things will turn better. All that is non-existent in the eyes of so many professionals in the medical sphere. And that saddens me a lot. Because they all just turn into zombies. If you do not have humanity in you, you're dead. You're a walking creature that earns a lot of money maybe, but you're dead. You're dead inside. What good does that do you? So think about this, guys. I am appealing to your hearts and to your good sense and your humanity. Don't let this happen. Don't let this happen to your loved ones. And if you are in the medical profession, don't let this happen to your patients. And again, I have some wonderful virtual friends that have become friends, doctors that are following my channel. But that's a handful of people, and they are amazing, so I'm not generalizing. I'm not saying all doctors are like that. But unfortunately, all of those doctors are not in the city that I need them to be to help right now. But I'm sure they would if they could. This is devastating. And again, try always your best. I know we need a salary to live, and I know we have deadlines and timetables and everything, but stop for a second and realize that you have a human being's life in your hands. That's worth more than money. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been a different video, but it was a necessary video. It was important. It was important for me to share this with you guys because I love you, and it was also important for me to get it off my chest, also to let you understand yet another one of those extra reasons that I have to kind of be a bit more silent lately than I would usually be in terms of quantity of videos pouring in. I'm just not really in the mood to party lately. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please do thumb it up. Share it with the ones you love. And subscribe to my channel here on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. More than ever, guys, never give up on love. Love you. See you soon. Take care. Bye.